approved it, then what? Well, we gotta approve what you did. The school board approved it, it's on the thing.
There's only one that's got any morals.
That's what I hear.
Would everyone rise and remain standing after the pledge of allegiance, please?
Will you pray with me, please? Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. Thank you for each day that you give us, and thank you for each blessing that you give us. Help us to realize that all that we have, you gave to us. Watch over us tonight and help us to do the things that are best for our community and for our schools, for our teachers, and especially for our students. Forgive us our sins, we pray in your name. Amen. Amen.
I now call the March meeting of the Benton County Board of Education to order. Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, my big lady. Next item on the agenda is call roll. Linda, would you call roll, please?
Here. Mr. Cooper. Ms. Douglas. Here. Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Peach.
Here.
Mr. Thornton.
Here.
Mr. Hargis.
Here.
Mr. Livingston.
Here.
Mr. Winters.
Here.
Mr. Howell.
Here.
Ms. Kennon. Here. Ms. Arnold. Here.
Well, present. We do have a quorum. Before we approve the agenda, the first item on our agenda will be the approval of the Director of Schools contract. Has everybody got an evaluation that we compiling results of overall results of our we got a very good report this year. In fact, I'll give you 2021 and 2022, and he did come up 4,600s overall. And most everybody turned their evaluation. Contract for 4 years. We can't extend it, so we have to rewrite the contract for 4 years, and beginning July the 1st of 2022, and leave everything in there that's presently in there. He will receive any bonuses and raises that teachers get, and plus we did increase his cumulative service per year to 2,000 from 1,500. At the present time, I think there's 21 school systems that pay less than ours. 100 plus, way over 100 plus that pay more. So this, by having a cumulative pay, it kind of helps bring him up closer to what we, one of the things we discussed, we were going through, if for some reason we needed, had to replace for his retirement or whatever could happen, then would we be able to draw someone in from out of county? And our answer was pretty well no. We couldn't, we would pay, but we do feel like we have a lot of good candidates within our county. So the recommendation then is to give him a 4-year contract, and the only change that would be made is the cumulative pay would go from 15 a year to 2,000 a year. And so put that in the form of a motion. Mr. Douglas? Second. Any discussion?
Ready for questions?
Okay. You're for approval of the contract between the Benton County Board of Education and Ms. Mark Lawrence, and your name is called, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Ms. Linda, call the roll, please.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Douglas. Yes. Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Peak?
Yes.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Hargis?
Yes.
Mr. Livingston?
Yes.
Mr. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Kennon? Yes. Ms. Arnold?
Yes.
12 yes. Hopefully, 4 more years. It's up to the Lord for that part. We've done our part, anyway. So, thank you very much. I do have the evaluations, anyone like to see them at the end of the meeting. Before he leaves, I'm gonna turn them over to him, let him go on, look at all the remarks that were put in, positive, negative, whatever. So, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion, Mr. Livingston, to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Kenna. Ms. Shauna, Ms. Carter. You should go by this. All right, anything else? I want to remind you, you'll be approving the February minutes, substitute pending background checks, approving March 10th as Special Teachers Appreciation Day. That is the U-Trust function that we have, Appreciation Days. And also approving overnight trip from UT Martin on June 2022 to Drug Life. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, by like sign. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approve the full board and personnel committee report. Ms. Wright, would you give that, please?
I'll try. Benton County Board of Education Personnel Full Board Committee met on Tuesday, March the 1st at the conference room. Mr. Cooper, myself, Mr. Hedge, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Hargis, Ms. Arnold, Mr. Douglas, Mr. Livingston, Ms. Kenny, Mr. Peak, Mr. Winters, and Director Florence for their attendance. The committee met to discuss the following: review Director of Schools evaluation and contract. Director Florence's overall evaluation was 4.490. The recommendation was made to give the director a 4-year contract through June the 30th, 2026, with the current language and a $500 increase to his longevity. All approved, meeting adjourned.
Heard the report. Got a motion?
Put that in the form, motion to
Approve.
accept.
I've got a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Winters? Okay, any questions? All in favor of approving the full board personnel committee report, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Like sign. Next item on the agenda is the full board and building property committee report. Mr. Livingston, would you give that completion?
Okay, the Building Property Maintenance Committee met on Tuesday. This should read February the 10th, 2022 at 6 o'clock p.m. in the CHS Library. Those present were myself, Ms. Kennon, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Hargis, Ms. Arnold, Ms. Douglas, Mr. Winters, Mr. Pike, Mr. Thornton, and Director Mark Florence, CHS Principal Sean McDowell, Corey Christopher, and the Camden Quarterback Club President Blake Arnold. The committee met to discuss the following items. First one was the update on medical clinics, CHS and Big Sandy HVAC and roof projects, Board of Education office expansion, and the building assessment by TLM. Blake Arnold, who is the CHS Quarterback Club President, presented a proposal on an entrance gate for Tommy Richardson Stadium. The class of 2002 will provide all materials, labor, and funding for the project. Also, Blake presented an update on the current condition of the Camden Central High School football field, which is right field. He presented 2 proposals. One, to refurbish the field was number 1, renovate the field with natural grass. And the second one was installing a synthetic turf field. There was a recommendation was made to allow the CHS class of 2002 to install an entrance gate at Tommy Richardson Stadium. The CHS principal and maintenance supervisor will agree on the location before the project starts, and the class of 2002 will be responsible for the labor, materials, and the funding, and everyone approved. There was another recommendation made to support the synthetic turf field proposal at Wright Field. If the county agrees to fund a minimum of $200,000, the total estimated cost of the project is $1.1 million, and before final approval of the project, a formal proposal must be presented to the Benton County Board of Education. All approved. And the meeting adjourned, and I make a motion that the report is approved.
Got a motion, and that's with the change at the top on the
Yes.
date. Your report has Tuesday, October 22nd, or 26th, 2021. So we need to change that to Thursday, February 10th, 2022. So we've got a recommendation with that change. Do I have a second? Second. Any questions?
I apologize for the typos. I obviously copied and pasted a lot, and I just, in my busy times, just didn't have somebody read it. So I apologize. But just make sure it says Thursday, February 10th, 2022 at 6 p.m. And then, funny when there one of the Blakes says Blade, I told him I must have been thinking about Travis Trout. Daniel will understand what I'm talking about. So I apologize for that, but we'll get that fixed and it'll be corrected in the book.
Any other questions? All in favor of approving the full board building property committee report, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, a like sign. Next item on the agenda, we have Mr. Blake Arnold, CHS quarterback club president. Request a moment to speak.
Thank you, Judge. And I will answer to Blake or Blade or anything that starts the first three letters BLA. I did have an opportunity to meet with the property committee on whatever, March the 10th, and presented in some detail, extensive detail about the condition of our current football field. And I do have the proposals if anybody did not get one. I brought 3 extra, so I think I brought, if anybody needs one of the proposals that does show the condition of our current field. I was going to try, since I've already presented it mostly to the property committee, where should I stand? Back there. Perfect. I feel like I always got somebody at my back. Look, somebody's back. Just keep walking around in circles. Since I did present it already to the property committee, I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but I will say our field was last redone in 2004, and so it's been about 16 years since it's been redone. When it was done in 2004, it was not done properly because of some things that they ran into. The company that was contracted to redo it was not able to do it completely like it was supposed to be done. Since that time, we've also had some additional work that's been done on the end of the field, which caused some more drainage to be blocking the field drains and so forth. So our field's not draining real well. It's got big muddy spots. It's got lots of areas that are hilly and valley, and it's not in great condition. So it is time to redo our field, and we believe that the best way to redo the field is going to be with synthetic turf. That increases the usability of our field over the course of an entire year. Instead of it just being able to be used in the fall, it opens up the ability for it to be used for multiple sports, spring sports, summer sports, fall sports, etc. And also gives us a very large, dry playing surface throughout the year. So that is the proposal, and if y'all heard Mr. Roberts' notes there, he did discuss the cost. I will give you a few updates. One thing that I have been
super excited about is just seeing the unity in our community. When I talked to the property committee, I did ask basically for permission to move forward. Since that time, I have met with the insurance committee for the county commission, the property committee for the county commission, the budget committee for the county commission, as well as the full county commission. And I have had great support from all of those groups. They kind of did what you guys did, and they just, each of those committees of 5 just kind of did a show of hands and said, we support this. What I did ask them for was $224,000 to put towards the project. They have, up to this point, everyone has agreed and said that they would be willing to do that. They've come to a few different proposals or how exactly they're going to get the money and if they're going to be able to pull it out of some other funds and so forth, and they're supposed to be working on that going forward. There's supposed to be a resolution, I guess is what they call it, before the March committee, county commission meeting to approve the $224,000 to give to the school to put towards the football field. So that is where we're at currently, and mostly just wanted to come tonight to see if anybody had any questions from the time that we had talked about it at the property committee meeting, or those that weren't able to be there during that time, if y'all had any questions about the project. That's what.
Who will pay during the schedule? That's the only question I have.
I don't know, you want me to try to answer that question?
Well, I think, you know, the scheduling is gonna have to be, you know, something that, if this ever happened, that we met with other districts like Huntington and Milan that's done that, and you would have to develop a plan, because, as I told you from the beginning, the 2 biggest complaints you get are planning, scheduling and cost. Those are the other directors I've talked to have said it's, you know, one of the best decisions they've made. Whether it's, that's up to you, but obviously that would be something that we would have to, and to be honest, probably have to look at additional, you know, not a huge supplement, but some type of supplement to, you know, pay a person to do that, because it would be a pretty big project. But if they can do it in Huntington and Milan, I think we could probably manage. And there's samples out there that we can get of how they're doing that.
Hey, Mark, can I be heard?
Yes.
One thing that I picked up from late before was that we have only one football team for all of our players from high school, junior high, and little league across all of Benton County, where I just, you know, that struck me as being something very important that we need to do to keep our football field available and as best activity make it for everybody. And that way everybody can use it, little leagues can use it, and not disrupt the high school, you know, mess up the field for anybody else in the high school or junior high. Other people in the community, you can use it without messing it up, you know, for our high school and junior high players.
Okay. Did everybody hear Miss Judy?
I've got a question for somebody. Big Sandy playing baseball this year?
So they do have a schedule.
All right. Do they have any home games?
I don't think so.
Why not?
My understanding is that the city has renovated their park and then they stopped.
You know, the field is play. Every time they got it right. There's not a field down there to play on, is there, Marty?
No, they've not put up any of the fencing, backstop, lights, all been torn down.
Is that in the process of being renovated by the city, or?
my understanding is they're just on a hold because of workers and that type.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Yes, thank y'all. And if y'all have any other questions, or if you think about anything, I do enjoy difficult questions, because I like, I really do. I think that, you know, I know you guys represent a group of people that out there in the community, and y'all get asked hard questions, so I like getting asked hard questions. If there's anything I can help y'all answer, I'd be glad to do that. You can reach out to Mark or reach out to me. I'll be glad to try to help you work through them. So.
Well, I don't have a question, but I do have a statement that I think that it would help improve our students' ability to get them to where, you know, the Pee-wee or whatever it's called have not been able to practice because of wet field conditions or because they can't get on the field being a high school. But when they get experience growing up and learn the fundamentals of whatever, whether it's football or volleyball or anything, or they become better as high school athletics. And I think it would help improve the kids in the future.
I think you're gonna have soccer and other things.
That's right.
Easy. Because I think by checking some of these others, there's just about somebody on the field year round. So that's important of scheduling and everything like that. But it will be used a lot by soccer and other groups, band. Maybe even get a band competition and something to help raise money and help them. Here they I think it's gonna be a plus all the way around.
I guess my one response to, because I hear, okay, you know it's gonna be hard to get the field, but we have never had organizations that hadn't been able to use our gyms, our cafeterias. Anything that's available, we let the community use it. The football field, being natural grass, is just a different, you know, and I know, Mr. Hyatt, I was going to address this in the director's report, but that is, I had heard about the Big Sandy thing, about the city park earlier, but I have not had anybody from, none of the coaches, anybody from the city park at Big Sandy. Obviously, we can't go down there and build a field, but in the 9 years I've been director, we've never not told a coach or at a city park that we wouldn't, you know, help them with infield conditioner, help the field come in. I mean, I think we have an obligation. Our city park at Camden wouldn't be what it is without our high school sports out there. Now, perfect world, we'd rather have them on campus, but when you really look at it, our little city park in Camden would probably dry up and not be there if it wasn't for your high school and softball parents and coaches putting so much time in out there. So, you know, the main thing, and I addressed that with the principals today, if we don't know about it, it's kind of hard for us to help. And so that's the one thing I would like for the community, you know, if there's an issue with the field. Now, we can't go and redo a whole field with a city park. I think that would be hard to do, but as far as helping, obviously, I think Mr. McDowell, as principal of the high school, would agree that we have put a lot in our city park. You know, we have a lot more out there than we did a few years ago.
Mr. Florence, I'm sorry, but I just want to say this. I went with Tanner Hudson back several years ago up to Nashville to help film him when he was trying to get drafted. And when I did, we went to a school. It was a high school up there. It was one of the private schools, to use their synthetic turf to film him doing his L drill and his shuttle drill and things like that. And the one thing that happened is we had about a 45-minute to an hour to use the space before it was going to be used for a classroom. And what I saw was the entire school coming out and using that space as an outdoor classroom. Now, we haven't had an outdoor classroom for our athletics. We haven't had a space that we could go out there every hour for some period of time. our baseball field, our softball field, and things like that is at the city park. I look forward to a time when our kids, 5 class period a day during good weather, has a chance to be out there on that field and use that space as a classroom. So it's more than just something that's after school hours. It is an outdoor classroom for our phys ed class. And that's not been talked about, so I thought it was important enough to at least say that.
Anything else? Thanks much.
Sir, thank y'all, appreciate your time.
All right. Next item on the agenda then, kind of ties into this, approve PLM to complete a preliminary architectural design for the turf field. Now, this would have to be done, whether we go with grass or turf. This is gonna have to be done to do that. So, the recommendation is to get them to do the study not to exceed $60,000. Got a motion, Ms. Douglas, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second. Any questions over there?
This study has to be done whether we go with the grass or the turf.
Yep.
Right. Now, Mr. Thompson, the reason I put $60,000 on there because at 1.1 million, 6% of that, that's what your architecture is gonna charge, so that's why that's there. And this would only allow them to come in. Now, there could be a little bit more spent because if they get everything ready for a bid, but this would allow them to get it up for a bid, and you're gonna have to do that drainage and look at all that, no matter what you do.
So this is not approving turf field. This is just doing a study that we'd have to do, a preliminary design and study to do before we could do anything anyway.
This would allow PLM to give Lashley Rich the information they need to put this out for bid. And then, once it come in for bid, then obviously that's when you as a board would approve or not approve.
Any other questions?
Just how much of a, and I think you already said it, but how much of an architectural design will this be? Will this be a completed, this is what it's gonna be if you go this way, and, or this is the way
If
it's
it
gonna
goes to that max, if it went, I
like a
think,
set of, here it is right here, this is
Yes.
what you need to see to
Yes.
your build here.
this is how much dirt, this is what your soil sample shows, this is how much, drainage you would have to put in. It would have all that, so when
All
they put it
specs.
out for bid,
Okay.
you're gonna have to put it out for bid, obviously.
And you need this before you put it out for bid, because
Yes.
they won't know what they're bidding on until they can see
Right.
what you have.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else? Got a motion and a second to approve PLM complete preliminary architectural design for the turf field and CHS not to exceed $60,000. If you're for this, when your name's called, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Ms. Linda, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hedge,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas, Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Peach,
Yes.
Mr. Thornton,
Yes.
Mr. Hargis,
Yes.
Mr. Livingston,
Yes.
Mr. Winters,
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Kinnon, Ms. Arnold,
Yes.
12 yes, motion passed. Next item on the agenda is to approve policy committee reports. Mr. High.
Kill me, Joe. Now, he's blatant, feel free to read it. The Benton County Board of Education Policy Committee met on Tuesday, February 22nd at the library. Myself, Mr. Peach, Ms. Kinnon, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Hargis, Ms. Douglas, Ms. Arnold, Mr. Hedge, Ms. Cooper, and Director Farnes was in attendance. The committee met to review and discuss the following. Policy 4.403, reconsideration of instructional materials and textbook. Policy 6.306, interference, disruption of school activities. And to review section 5, which is the personnel section. The recommendation was made to replace policy 6.306 interference with school activities with TSBA model policy. All approved to do that. A recommendation was made to change policy 5.1033, special education supervisor, to state students with special needs in all places it stated handicap. All approved that. The recommendation was made to change policy 5.304, long-term leaves of absence for professional personnel, and policy 5.305, family medical leave, to state insurance will be paid 16 weeks instead of 12 weeks during their leave. Also, it was recommended to remove lines 5 and 6 from policy 5.304, and all approved that. I put this in form of a motion to accept.
Is there a motion to approve this committee report? Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second? Any questions? All in favor of approving the policy committee report, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the like sign. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda then is to approve policies 6.306, 5.1033, 5.304, and 5.305 on first reading.
I make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Second. Any questions? Don't you have them in your packet? You're for approving these on first reading. When your name's called, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Ms. Linda, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hatch? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas? Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Peak?
Yes.
Mr. Thornton?
Yes.
Mr. Hargis?
Yes.
Mr. Livingston?
Yes.
Mr. Winter?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Kinnon? Ms. Arnold?
Yes.
Yes, motion passed. I do remind you, for the ones that were not at the meeting at the discussion, if you would like to look over them, if there's something that you see that you think go by, then let us know. It will not become policy until second reading. Look over them. Most everybody was there, a lot of people were there. Next item on the agenda is to approve TransFinder contract. Now, this is the new bus routing software that's going to be purchased with ESSER funds. So the cost is going to be approximately $9,700 for that. We'll entertain a motion to approve the TransFinder contract.
Move to approve.
Got a motion, Mr. Thompson. Second. Second, Ms. Kinnon. Any questions?
What is that again? What is
Mr.
TransFinder?
Douglas has killed a few trees, I think. He has a printout. What the TransFinder is it is a bus routing software that it even has GPS, and now it's not gonna happen overnight, but once we get everything implemented, a parent would actually be able to go into an app and track where the bus is instead of calling the office. So, we were able to purchase this with ESSER funds because of, transportation was a big part of that, especially when we were having to split routes and not fill them up. So it's not any additional cost to the district at this time. Obviously, all this ESSER is going to go away, and these companies are going to want you to continue to renew their contract. So to tell you it's not something that will eventually affect the GP budget, I can't, but I can tell you to get started, it'll all be provided with federal funds. And then that yearly renewal is not near, I think there, what is it, Chad, 3,000 or 4,000?
Yeah, the first year getting us trained as an implementation period, and then once we get past that, we can really get into the good stuff. Get it going.
If they could help us with drivers, it would be nice.
And so at the same time, we also can, of course, know where our buses are at too.
Right.
If we're running late and say, I wonder where bus
Yes, but the main objective of it, Mr. Winters, is to, maybe we need to reroute and, you know, to make it more efficient.
Some cans and things like
So,
that.
you know, there's a lot of benefits. A lot of systems have routing system. We looked at it years ago. It was not very successful, but they've come a long ways, and I think, you know, we're a pretty unique district with having owner-operators and to be as spread out as we are, but I think with us having ESSER funds, that, and this has already been approved in the ESSER plan, so, you know, it's just a matter of before, they wanted to start training a couple of weeks ago, but I told Mr. Douglas this is something that, you know, with this amount of money that I felt like the board needed to approve before we started.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? We've got Chad, he knows all.
Does it lay out the routes, Teddy?
It can, once we get our information loaded over to it, it can plot it all out, and we can plot it out the way that we have it designed. And then, like I said, for the summer school programs, you could plug in the ones that you need and route it if you need to. And then, on the brochure, this is the stop finder. It's one of the cool features where parents could actually have the app and download it and kind of track their bus so they'll know when the bus is coming, give them some alerts that the bus is coming. So just another communication tool that we had looked at several other vendors and programs, and this one was offered the most for the most economic impact that we had looked at. So a couple of us in the main office have watched a couple of webinars and things like that, and just really enjoy it.
What's the additional cost, because the buses are not equipped with this location technology, right?
So, let's see, some of them are, some of them in the fleet are. The newer buses, some of the spare buses are, for sure, and then some of the newer 2010 model and up, a lot of those already have that technology going. But yes, to the answer, there would be some additional cost down the road once we got it rolled out. So the main big first year would be the implementation and training.
Like half price here now.
Can anybody just go online and see where the buses are at?
Yes.
You'd have to sign up for
Well,
it.
that's what I'm saying, you need to have some kind of control, because I don't know whether everybody needs to know where the bus is.
No, it would be the app, you would have to be in our student information system. It would,
You'd have to have it.
Justin could, if his kids are riding the bus, you know, he could go in because he would have access to that parent portal and it will all connect. I think it's just the bus that their child's on, and I think the
Yes,
technology.
from what I
is there.
understand, yes.
Shauna probably don't wanna know where hers is, she's just trying to enjoy the last few minutes when they get there.
Any other questions? All right, you've heard the motion and second to approve the transponder contract at a cost of approximately $9,700. If you're for that, when your name is called, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Linda, call the roll, please.
Mr. Head? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Peak?
Yes.
Mr. Thorpe?
Yes.
Mr. Hargis?
Yes.
Mr. Livingston?
Yes.
Mr. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Cannon? Yes. Ms. Arnold?
Yes.
12 yes, motion passed. Next item on the agenda is to approve the budget committee report. Mr. Hargis, I believe you have that.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's budget time again. We start to get into it, but on February the 22nd, we met for the first meeting starting this budget process. Benton County Board of Education Budget Committee met on Tuesday, February the 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Present was myself, David Joe Douglas, Judy Arnold, Brian Hedge, Keith Peach, Robert Livingston, Tim Hyatt, Shannon King. I don't know about Shannon.
Yeah, we've caught that.
Joey Cooper and Director Mark Clark. The committee met to discuss the 2022-23 Benton County general purpose school budget. Director Clark informed the board that until we receive increase of approximately 25 to 40,000 in contracted subs to raise sub pay from $54 a day to $60 a day. That was one of the things we asked that currently we're of all the systems that the contractor is working with, we were the lowest in pay, so we're trying to do a little bit better with that. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, there's the committee report, and offer that as a motion for approval.
Okay, got a motion to approve, budget committee report, do I have a second? Second. Any questions?
I will tell you, we were scheduled to meet before the budget committee on Thursday. Obviously, I was in Houston, Linda offered to go, but I typed something up. Linda and Marilyn will tell you, and now they're telling us probably May before we receive DEP. There's just, it's gonna be hard we can give them a draft, but until we receive those revenues, and we've not received anything on local funding as well. So, I put in there that your memo that we may need to meet this month, but to be honest, I don't really think we have anything to meet on just yet, and if something comes up, we can, announce it, but, if the county wants to pass a budget in May, we can give them a budget, but, we're gonna have a lot of unanswered questions, and it's gonna have to be adjusted for sure, so. But with that said, the county budget committee very understanding, they realize that the school budget is a total, different, for lack of a better term, animal than the rest of them. I mean, you're talking about the schools about 2/3 of the budget. So and that's not even, you put federal funding in there and it even gets higher than that.
Any other questions? Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve the committee report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is to approve budget resolutions. You have 4. They're pretty well just housekeeping budgets. You can tell that.
Approve as friend.
Okay, got a motion to approve, Mr. Thompson. Got a second? Second, Ms. Kennan. You can tell when you look at the federal, if it's $34.89, you're moving, it's pretty routine housekeeping stuff, so. Any questions? Motion and second. If you're for approving these resolutions, when your name's called, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Ms. Linda, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hedge.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Douglas. Yes. Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Mr. Peak.
Yes.
Mr. Thorne.
Yes.
Mr. Hargis.
Yes.
Mr. Livingston.
Yes.
Mr. Winters.
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Kennan. Yes. Ms. Arnold.
I'm not asking.
Okay.
11 yes and 1 pass. Motion passed. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the director's report. I figured you had a lot.
I try not to be too long. First thing, thank you, Mr. Arnold and your staff for hosting us tonight. I'm kind of crowded, but hey, we made it, so we appreciate holiday school, and that's something that we put in our board plan 2 or 3 years ago. COVID's put a little hiccup in it, but we're going to start going back to Big Sandy and Holiday once a year, and then we'll also start our schedule of going to a Camden school once a year. So thank you for the refreshments, and I know it took a lot more than what you say. There's a lot to go in and move some furniture and make sure we have room for the board meeting, so thank you for that. And I'm gonna say we appreciate your support to extend or grant me the opportunity to be director of schools for another 4 years. I will tell you, the group in the back and the teachers and the staff, they deserve all the credit. But it is a true privilege to be director of schools in Benton County, and it's an honor. And so, on behalf of Millette and Mark, thank you. And we will do our absolute best the next 4 years to do what we should be doing, what's best for our kids. And we talk about that all the time as a team, and it's hard sometimes. Sometimes we get caught up in how busy we are, and we forget about why we're really here. And every day we go to work has to be about the kids, but believe it or not, we're human too. And sometimes life crosses teachers and support staff and custodians and cafeteria workers. And even Roy Milner has a normal life sometimes. Sometimes he's thinking about other things than HVAC units. So, but in all seriousness, it's just, all I can say is thank you. And it's hard to believe I'm wrapping up 9 years. That's the hardest thing to believe about. This is finishing up my 9th year as director. So Keith Peach turned 40, and we'll have Thornton 40 by the time it's over.
34, that last
So anyway, thank you. Spring planning, and I will give you a Millette update at the end unless you don't want a Millette update. But our schedule's changed again. So put April the 7th on your calendar. That's a Thursday, and we'll see. I see Betty Jo already shaking her head. If there's not an that looks like about the only date in the next month with a little time that I'm going to have. But if that's not going to work for, just look at it. We'll see who it works for. And we can always look at maybe, we've never done it before, but I don't know that there's a rule that says we can't do it the first or second week of May. So just look at the 7th, and we'll worry about that later. We talked about the budget. One thing, we hope that when the BDP projections come out, if there's a way to increase that raise, we will. Basically, what we do with that raise is we try to look at like a 3% of a new teacher, and then make it just a flat raise across the board. That's kind of the logic behind that. There's a lot of discussion about percentages, and when I first started as director, I would question why we did a flat raise, but if you do the budget a few times, it makes a lot of sense, and I'll be glad to answer any questions as far as that goes. But if we do get additional funds, then we hopefully could increase that raise. Substitute pay, that's been an issue because our support staff, if we bumped it too much, we can't pay our subs. We wish we could, but it's hard to pay them more than our employees are making. We can't do that. So this $1,000 raise for them is not enough, but hopefully we can do this every year for a few years and get them to a point where they can make a living, because I'm telling you, we can't do what they're just important as educating our kids as anybody in this room. Everybody is. And we're all teachers. We may not all have a teacher's license, but if you work in this school system, you're a teacher. And that's what we want you to do. And insurance is a huge benefit that, thanks to you, that we continue to offer that to all our employees. I can tell you, it sometimes seems like it doesn't seem to be as important, but I'm telling you, it is a very important benefit that you offer. So we're fixing to put a new school messaging system out. We've had a few issues with our old system, so we hopefully by the end of the week, Mr. Baylor said we thought we could probably start putting a memo out, sending it home with all the parents, and we're going to use it strictly at the beginning just for district announcements. Of course, obviously the one we always know is we're going to close school because it snowed. Okay. But we do have other messages if we had to go into a soft lockdown or a hard lockdown. There's numerous things that sometimes we just have to push a message out to our community, and it hasn't been where we'd like for it to be, and we're working on improving that. We're pretty much using social media right now, which we know that reaches a large percentage of people, but we want to make sure if we have parents and their children are in our schools, if we put an announcement out, they either get a call, they get a text, or they get an email, and it's pretty quick. So we're working on that as fast as we can. I received word today from Colt that the fire marshal is not going to require any more structural work at Big Sandy. That's been approved, so that is they said it wasn't gonna be a problem, but did get that letter, you hold your breath. So we're still waiting on the screws to finish up the roof, and you can watch the news and you can see that getting stuff shipped sometimes is an issue. But I think leaks, we still have a few, or better, Mr. McDowell.
We're a lot better.
Okay.
We're a lot
Just
better.
remember, it's not complete, so if you get a complaint, just say, listen, it's still under construction, and when they leave, they assure us we're gonna have a roof that doesn't leak, and we're gonna work hard to make sure that that's there. The Big Sandy gym floor, I showed Mr. Thompson a drawing. I'll be glad to share it with all of you. I have it on my phone. Mr. Armstrong and Mr. Carruthers and Randy Holland and representatives from Colt went to Memphis 2 or 3 weeks ago. Believe it or not, I was out of town. And so they went down and looked at the showroom, and so that should go out to bid pretty quick. And hopefully, we'll have a new gym floor at Big Sandy, hopefully by graduation. Our luck, it'll be tore up during graduation, but we're going to hold our breath on that one. The clinic, the clinic is done, but we've had a little delay. Nurse practitioner that they are confident is going to sign a contract is not an employee of West Tennessee Healthcare, so it takes 90 days. Ms. Shawna may know a little about that, but they have to do orientation and get them up to speed. So it looks like even though the clinic's ready, it will probably be July, and we'll open that up so parents can bring their kids if they want to for their shots or a physical. So, that's going to be, if you think about it, once we open that clinic, now we're going to have a nurse practitioner that can take care of physicals. They can come to the gym, take care of it like we used to, and then if they miss, they can just go to the clinic. Or I'm thinking if I'm Mr. McDowell, I might just say go to the clinic and not have that all day thing. So that's something that West Tennessee Healthcare, the nurses and I didn't know until they told us the person they thought was going to accept the position is not currently working with West Tennessee Healthcare. Therefore, they have to have a 90-day orientation before they start. Our nurses are, I don't know, lack of a better, they're giddy when they go to the Briarwood and see that clinic. They're really excited about the opportunity that's going to give our district. As soon as I find out that they've hired the nurse practitioner, I will let you know, but I don't think that would be fair to the candidate or until that's approved by West Tennessee Healthcare. TLM, they have begun the school facility assessments. I found that out this morning. I didn't know they'd been to any schools, and Mr. White and Mr. Bell told me they had already started, so that is a good thing. The ramp on the south end of Camden Elementary, if you drove by Elementary, we now have a handicap ramp on the south end. Thank you to the school board. Special thank you to Mr. Cooper and U-Trust that paid for about half of that through a grant. And Mr. Cooper serves on the U-Trust board of directors, so that is complete. So now we have a ramp on the south end for our preschool and our special ed students, and they don't have to go all the way down to the north end if they're on the south end. So that's a huge plus to our elementary school. I guess we better thank Renee too. We might get in trouble if we don't. So
Only to be used by them.
right.
Because front entrance is still front entrance.
The front entrance is now we have a handicap ramp on every entrance of Camden Elementary, which is nice. We were talking about going to the House tomorrow, but the House of Representatives in Nashville, but there's not. The only thing on the docket is the Finance Committee at 3 o'clock. They are supposed to bring up the new funding, but I don't think there'll be a whole lot of discussion, so we're going to check, and if you are interested in going next Wednesday, which that will be the 16th, that more than likely on Wednesdays is much more education. Usually the House and Senate Education Committee meets, and if you follow the legislation, each week it gets, the juicier it gets. So there's gonna be more going on next week than there is this week. So if you think you might be interested in going to some of the House or Senate Education Committee next Wednesday, just let me know tonight or send me a text, and then we'll see how many we have going. I know Mr. Thompson and Marco and Tim and Joey and I went, I guess it was 3 years ago now, because we couldn't go the last 2 years, and very informative. I mean, you kind of see how things work, and we have our own schedule where if you go on other days, it's kind of planned for you. So if you're interested in that.
You kind of learn why things don't work too.
Yeah. And we have one board member that has to hide his pocket knife in the shrubs every time we go. I'm not gonna say who that is.
Now, he's lost one here.
I have put a copy, and this is unusual. Usually we do this at spring planning, but we also try to get our calendar out 2 years in advance. So I have put a copy of a draft calendar. Mr. Douglas and I have went over it. We checked it for days, and you'll probably find an error, and that's okay. But look through that, and if you have any concerns, please let me know. We will email that to all staff tomorrow. That's part of our memorandum. I just wanted you to see it first. We'll send it out to all the staff and let them look over it, and if they have any recommendations, we will do our best. But as I told the principals today, 180 days is 180 days, and when you give, you have to take away. So, the calendar that we have is pretty standard. The big change in this calendar is the parent-teacher conference, and it's subject to change, but we've talked about this, and we're going to have to make that change for this upcoming year. The high school and junior high have really asked that parent-teacher conference be moved up, because after the first 9 weeks, it's too late if they have a student that's struggling. So what we're looking at is moving 6-12 earlier, maybe after the 4.5 weeks, and then leave elementary where that's at. There was even some discussion today about maybe doing it different days. I can see it, that would be a scheduling nightmare, but it would be a huge benefit for Shauna that has kids in 3 different schools, and her and Jason are not trying to figure out where they're going to go. So, that could be something that our parents really appreciate, and it's really not going to matter to teachers, because they're going to have to do it one day or not. So we're looking at several options to, obviously, number one, we want to do what's best for our kids and our parents, and so we're going to look at several different options. I guess the highlight of that is spring break fell the week after Good Friday, so you get off Good Friday and then the whole next week. So, but that's it. That's 2 years away. So, but just look over that, and if you have any questions, let me know. I also put a handout of the new Tennessee Investment in Student Achievement funding that should be in the very back of your packet. Now, we could spend all night, but we're not going to. But I would tell you to look at that. There's a lot. Just to give you an example, our enrollment today is 2,044, well, last week, so it hasn't changed much. And that funding is based on 2004. Well, if you take that base at $6,800 times 40, that's quite a bit of money. And so there's still a lot of unanswered questions out there about the new funding formula. I had a task force meeting this morning. We had to have a recommendation to the legislation in the governor's office and the state board. There's more money, and obviously we're excited about more money for our students and our staff. We also have a lot of questions about how they're coming about that base, how these percentages are going to affect us. And so when you watch the news, I have not heard one director, and I've been on a call with every one of them several times, that said we're not interested in the new money. That's the farthest thing from what you're hearing us say. But you as a school board and the county commission and we need the answers of how this money is going to, what's it going to look like in 5 years. If we get $2 million more next year, but in 5 years it's $1 million less, then, so there's a lot of unanswered questions. I know the legislation, they're all over the place. Some are ready to go, some wanna slow down, and so just a lot of questions, but I thought it would be interesting for you to, look at that and see, what's projected for Benton County. And then, any questions about that? And then, Miss Christy Wilson, I don't think we need a vote on this, but if you don't know, Miss Christy has a little bit of inside track to the National Guard. Michael, I guess, is officially retired, or is that June?
In June, July 1.
So, we were looking, Briarwood has a little walking, before we built the big walking track, they had a little walking track inside their playground. So we were looking, Donna was looking at a grant, and Christy come to me and said, Michael said National Guard will do that. So all we have to do is agree for the National Guard to do that, and then supply the materials. They'll do all the design, the engineering work, dirt work. They do all the work. All we have to do is buy the gravel and the asphalt. So I don't think that's going to be anything that we have to bid. We have that in site development, but I wanted, does anybody have a problem with me writing the National Guard and asking them? Oh, Mr. Cooper may be able to pay for your supplies, Christie.
I got another $4,000 grant from U-Trust.
So, does anybody, really all I need, I don't think we need a vote, but does anybody have an issue with me writing that letter to request the National Guard service? I think it's wonderful that they're willing to come in and do that. They would do it inside the fence, so, it'd be just like Briarwood. The PE teacher would have a place to walk the students, and then obviously teachers would have an area and employees would have an area out there to walk if they wanted to. So, okay. Chamber banquet. I just got this notice in the mail. Will be Thursday, March the 24th at the Camden First Assembly at 6 p.m. I will be in Texas. But if you are interested in attending, we will, we will reserve a table. I just need to know by this Friday if you would like to attend. So you can send me a text, and we'll reserve a table for those that want to attend. It is Thursday, March 24th at 6 p.m. at Camden First Assembly. So I know, they're trying to, the chamber working hard, and if, we are a member, and if you would like to attend, we bought a table for years down in Miss Linda. Miss Linda's like, I'm retired, Mark. But, so we would, I would, yeah, we're not gonna run her off, we're just gonna, you can't run off good people, Tim, what's wrong with you? But seriously, if you want to go, let us know. We just need to make those reservations if you would like to attend. Any questions from the board? Do you want them a lead update, or would you? Okay. Let me tell you this. If you've noticed the camera in the back, we have asked Mr. Baylor to order, that is a video camera. We will video all our school board meetings. Mr. Armstrong has agreed, once we get those, they're not live, then we will archive them on our website, by the end of the week, and they will be on the Benton County Schools website, but they will be archived. They won't be live. So, but they will be on there for the public to view. That's the reason that we put the camera there. Okay, lead update. It changes. It changed. I met with you last Tuesday, and it has changed drastically since then. The doctors, the MRI was not bad. It was good, but it was not perfect, I guess would be a way to put it. So out of caution, the doctors have recommended 2 more chemo treatments. We did one of those, this Friday and Saturday, including home yesterday. We will go back the 24th of March for the second one of the two they've requested. We'll wait another 3 weeks, go back for another MRI, and then now they're saying 3 to 4 weeks of radiation. So, the radiation, as our understanding from the doctors, the reason it's so long is because it's so low dose. The lower dose they can give, the better it is on the patient. So, it's not because it's bad that we're having it. It's a good thing because they're wanting to keep that radiation low. So, with that said, as soon as I know my schedule, I know for sure March the 24th, I'll be gone that Thursday, Friday. We're on spring break next week, so, but we should be home. And then I think it's the 13th or 14th of April, we'll head back out. And they sized her up for all her radiation mask and that sort of thing, so I really feel comfortable when we go back, they will start that following Monday, and then, 3 to 4 weeks, Monday through Friday. I can work from Houston. It's not like being in the office, but I have a cell phone, and it's all outpatient, so I'll be in the hotel, and our staff, they're a little sneaky. They don't like to tell me everything, but they do a tremendous job of keeping things. And Amy's back there playing like she don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, the administrators and the central office staff, that they have just been fabulous. And we knew that before this, but this has put on a new light on the work ethic and things that they have. So thank you for everything that you do. And any questions? All I can ask you is just continue those prayers. They mean everything to us, and they work, folks. That's a fact. So just thank you for all you do, and we're going to get through this. Any more for me? All right.
Do you need to set policy?
I think we can do that in April. I think that would be better for that one.
No committees, budget, you don't.
Not unless something comes up, I'll call.
Okay, anything else come before the board before I open it up? Okay. Next item on the agenda is visitors before the board. I have one name, that's Tony Flores. And I want to remind you, individuals speaking to the board shall address remarks to the chair and may direct questions to individual board members or staff members only upon approval of the chair. And each person speaking shall state his name, address, and subject of presentation. Remarks will be limited to 2 minutes, and the chair shall have the authority to terminate the remarks of any individual who is disruptive or does not adhere to board rules. That being said, you want to
I want to introduce myself. My name is Tony Flores. Like 5.5 years ago, I read the Bible for the first time, and since then I've been baptized. I go to church. I know this guy real. But I'm here to help bring religion back to the school. I got a new plan called the NPD. It's a noble to honesty, noble to democracy. And if we bring it to our students, say it with prayer and from the Lord, we came up with a new plan for the school system. What if we were to have the students start out as cadets, graduate as cadets, but in 4th grade, that's when you let the children go back and teach kindergarten for a period. That's where they're brought up to today. See, and I had a classmate walk bags when I was in 4th grade, and I had a sense of pride. My grades were all good and everything, and the program went away. I lost sense of care. My grades went bad and everything, but with this plan here, you know, we're leading back to the school, you gotta have prayer before you start school. Okay, and, joining the NTV with our students, will give them a sense of value, it'll bring up the grade, I'm supposed to read from this notebook, but it's straight still. But, anyway, if we was to, like I said, start students out as cadets, you know, and then in the fourth grade, they have a chance to, upgrade to a seniority, you know, by going back and teaching the kindergarten for a period, the first grade for a period, and then, it'll improve our school system. With the high school students, with the same thing, teaching them diplomacy and democracy, we can give them divisions and titles and trophies and stuff like that. But anyway, like you said, I got more notes in my notebook, but I'm just here so I can bring the NTD to the schools so they can sign up, so that way they can have prayer before school starts.
Do you have guidelines for the program and everything?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Can you print them up and give us to us?
Yes. Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Okay, these are the only ones signed up. Do I have anyone else that would like to appear before the board? I want to remind you, we've got no committee meetings. Next board meeting will be April the 4th at CHS Library in Campbell. And so 6 o'clock. Okay. So if we do not have anything else, Chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn, got a second. All in favor, stand up and leave. Thank you for everything. Thank you for opening the school for us.